This is Denmark Real. I am Amar Ahmed. My mission is to connect human beings all over the world. And I want you to be with me on this trip. Every week I'll be sharing stories from amazing guests. I believe that every one of us have something special, that every one of us have a story to tell and a song to sing.
I felt the need to do something. That everything that you keep in your backpack of memories, you could always take them up, you can look at them and you can learn from them. You can never tell a person what they should mean or what they should feel, but you can give them the resources to make their own reflections.
What is success for you?
But success, it is being present and be committed.
Yeah.
Because then you start to grow. Life is uncertainness, but what I think maybe today is more challenging is that we are not allowing ourselves to failures. So I see there's a difference between dreaming but not maybe doing, and instead of saying be realistic and make it happen. Don't be critical upon yourself. What do you define as a success? Like I was telling before, I say, okay, the big success will be I will be the board leader of this community, or I will do the main action for this organization. No, presence is a success. So many young people remember all those, what we call, let's scale battles they have lost.
Yeah.
And that had given them experience, and okay, I tried it once, I tried it twice, I give up. I don't give a care. Well, why? Why not saying, okay, that was a failure, I can try again, I can try in another way, I can still try, because every time I try, I am an active part of making a change. We are afraid, of course, not to share our failures, but also we don't recognize failure, the learning part of it.
As part of success.
Yes.
Yeah.
So go for small things, things that are easy for you to hand, and it will, in a long term, believe me, I'm an old man, it will, of course, give some solid foundation for you. And I think that the beauty, when you be attracted to somebody else, which is not you, both in love, but also in community, both in your country or just in the world, that you feel, okay, we are really in common for a good cause. Let's find the best version of ourselves. Let's contribute in the way we can contribute, some with big amounts of action, some with a little amount of heart, and some with a very big brain. But when we work together and we have this mutual existence, I think that is when the world is changing. Maybe one day we can be there, but what can I do tomorrow? Only those who work learns. So, yes, it is hard. Yes, it will feel painful sometimes. Yes, sometimes you're really stuck. But if you keep working, you also feel alive. And you will sleep good at the end of the day.
Welcome to Denmark Real. My name is Amar. With me today is Steen Cnops.
Mm-hmm.
You have a master degree in music and art,
mm-hmm.
and a master degree in ICT and learning.
Yes.
And also a postgraduate in a master degree
in didactics and learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you are also the CEO of VIAKIDZ.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is an organization to help.
Yes, to promote this. That is an organization that promotes ICT. It means didactical learning perspectives for children. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But also, most of all, I'm also a member of the Red Cross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got a prize in 2005. Mm. From Torstein Dales Memorial Price from Norway. Right?
Yes, yes, and from that we can draw a line back to maybe I think the important thing that we are here to is talk about how to make changes.
Yeah.
Yes, so that prize is the end of a long journey. So at the very beginning, I think that journey could maybe be interesting for us to have some discussions about, because I think I see some very similarities about my journey and also the society today. So I'm very pleased to come here.
And we could talk about that. Thank you for being here with me, actually.
Yeah.
It was an honor.
Thank you very much.
So, can you tell me more about the work you did with the Red Cross back then?
Yeah, let's start from the very beginning, because I was 22 years. It was 1984. There was a big hunger disaster in Africa. Yeah. And like everybody else, I was involved in raising money. I looked at USA for Africa, and there was a very much big media attention towards all that really was needed in Africa. And then I graduated from the university of my bachelor degree, and the years went by. It was 85, it was 86 and 87. And in 87 it was like, okay, everybody has maybe remembered what was happening in Africa, but they have forgot it. It was not in the media, it was not so high focus, but there was definitely still a problem. And then I also saw that the media turned a little bit. It was not like we should help. There was now this many refugees coming to Europe. There was this refugee problems that came arise, that there was also some problems in countries. And then there was maybe I think there was a turnaround to maybe not we should help them, we should maybe be more afraid of them. And that is very interesting. In 3 years, the perspective is going from we are being very helpful to we are very critical, skeptical, or we will not really want them to come to our countries. So I was educated in a school, and I said, okay, how can we work with this turnaround? How can we go back to what's all about? Saying, okay, there are some people, they have some problems. We can help because we are in a society of positive economy, we have resources. How can we teach our students in the main schools to have that focus? Not saying that they should do something, but open their eyes. So I think the first point of every change is awareness. Yeah. Awareness, being self-aware that something must be done. So I made a role play called Youth on the Run. Also UTOR, it is now in 30 countries. But the main point of this very starting project was that I felt the need to do something. So how can you do something? Then when you want to do something, you must ask yourself, what actually can I do? And just as you said in your intro, I came from the music and drama school. So I said, okay, a good way of learning is by experience. Always when you have some experience, good or bad in your life, you can learn from it. Yeah. So it's a good point that everything that you keep in your backpack of memories, you could always take them up, you can look at them, and you can learn from them. And one thing I learned very much was, if I should have some understanding and insight of something, then I need to somehow act or be experimental. So I made a role play where the pupils of the school are refugees in a live role play for 24 hours.
That's long.
That is very long, very progressive, and very not seen in the world. It came maybe as a glimpse, but also as an understanding of, okay, if it's 2 hours, yes, you can go home. If 6 hours, yes, it was a normal day at the school, but it's still to cross the borders, becoming more like all the big role plays and live role plays we have today, there are some changes in your experience. So the skepticism maybe goes more away, and you have more like an open experience. Yeah. And after those 24 hours, we discuss with the students what kind of experiences have they had. They will measure their feelings, they will measure their actions, and they will measure also their understanding. And that is one thing that could be a very key in our discussions today, is the 3 main things that I think it is important. Yeah. The hand, the heart, and also your head. Yeah. So if you can try to convince yourself that I have resources, these resources can be in my head, it could be in my hands, something I can do, but I also have resources in my heart. So afterwards, I reflected that this teaching concept that I have made had actions that challenge every part of it. It challenges your head because you know there was a crisis many years ago. Is it still going on? You had some actions you should do, try to be a refugee, try to be in a bureaucracy situation, try also to have some emotion of being not treated very well, being maybe a little skeptical, or maybe not fear, but have some anxiousness about what is going to happen. And when we, after this role play, talk about all these resources that are coming from these 3 pages in your side or inside of yourself, then the pupils can relate to their own experiences. So the idea is not to make a kind of provoke them to have some meanings of themselves. No, I give them resources and experiences so they can find their own meaning. And that has been going on for many, many years. So when you talked about this Memorial Prize, it is the work that I have been doing for about 25 years. So this role play is worldwide, and I have been traveling around the world and teach how to do this kind of role play with respect for the people that are refugees, but also with the respect for you can never tell a person what they should mean or what they should feel, but you can give them the resources to make their own reflections.
Yeah, to experience it within and act on that.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm honored to be with you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So how did you take it further from there? What can you see in society right now? Because this age, we have a lot of the people that feel disoriented, feel that they are, that they want to make a change in the world. They don't know where to start.
Yes.
And I started this.
Yes.
On the same.
Yes, and that is a good example, saying I started this. Yes, you started this because you are using your hands. Right now you are somehow providing a show. You have some good questions for me, and you have also an idea in your heart. What will this program do? I think that is also a very good way to also discuss. Even though I'm an old man, I still see there are some changes in our society which is exactly challenging for the same cause that I did very many years ago, that we are making prejudices about other people, and we do it because we are looking not about similarities, but of course we are looking for differences. Because the way that we as a social group lives as a group, it is by looking not at what you and I have in common, but what the others are different from us. So our whole life we have been trained to look for differences. So you are a very skilled, different people looking mechanism. You are not a skilled looking for the same interests as me. And that is why when the world is complex, you see and discover all the complexness in itself, and it really somehow paralyzes you because there are differences all over. And because you feel unique, it's very hard for you to find somebody who is really a little bit like you. But it's because you have to do a mind trick. You have to do a mind trick saying, if I should look upon somebody who maybe could be a way out of loneliness, or a person that could bring me further, or somebody that we can do something together, I must start to make the change in my mindset saying, okay, I must go from an understanding where I not should look about differences, but similarities. So let's talk about how can you do that. There are still these 3 parts of the body, I think: your mind, your heart, and your hands. Yeah. So when I think a good way to start is all to see, okay, what can I do? Action is very easy, and let's say I'm very good at playing football. So, or maybe I just want to play football. Then it's easy for you to say, and easy for others to say, okay, join the local football club. But even if you go to the local football club, then you will still feel a little of uncertainty. How are they playing? How are they communicating? And when they're playing together, and you are looking upon all the things that frightens you. Yeah. You're looking for the differences instead of saying, okay, They are warming up with this game, I know, or they have a goal, we will win this match. And this little mind trick saying, okay, I must look for what they have in common because that is my safe state, I call it stepstone. Because a journey is a way of stepstones. And the first stepstone is to say, okay, what do they have in common with me?
Yeah.
And also, it could also be, now we was talking about football, it could also be like the saying, okay, I care for other people. Okay, how can I contribute, even if I don't speak the language or I'm new in the town, because culture is not about country and the way you look or the place you come from. Culture just mean that you have some habits, you have some customs, that you have been raised in a certain way, you maybe live in a certain place of the country. And this cultural identity that comes from looking upon differences, then you should change to this looking upon similarities. So we say, I have respect for elderly people.
Yeah.
I remember my grandmother, or I remember an older uncle I have, and I really want to give something back. But now I'm here alone, not knowing what can do. Then you will start to say, okay, from your heart, you want to do something for others. So what can you do? You must try to scan who is in the market for making kind of social services. And there are a lot of welfare organizations which really could use help from you. But then you have the next question, okay, but what can I do? I really don't know what to do. And that is, I really don't know what to do. That can really be a big thing in you, and it can grow up. But from my point of view, and also the way that I'm teaching, we could maybe see, okay, it's not only that you are doing something. No, the very first stepstone you must take is just being present. Being present means that you are physically in the same room where the activity is. And then you say, okay, but if I'm in this physical room, in this, maybe let's call it a charity organization, and I know they had many activities and I'm really not certain if I can do that, then you feel very shy and you feel humble and okay, and you don't see, okay, I'm just sitting here. Is my contribution really something that is very good? But it is. That is the mind trick. The mind trick here is to say, being present in a room, others will feel you, even though you don't feel yourself. Because try to remember the time when you were as a little child. Then there was always some children that was a little bit older, your brothers, your sisters, or somebody else in your neighborhood, and they were doing this interesting game, and you were not allowed to participate because you was the little one. So what did you do? You just stood there, you observed, and okay, there was this rule, okay, I figured that out, and you were in a learning process. And it was all right, because when they were making this, maybe they had an advanced play or something like that, they could feel your presence. They could feel the presence that you were actually participating in observing, that they were interested for you, and that's why they let you stand and observe. And when you are in a room, if you really just observe and tend to be interested, the other can feel that you have an interest in this agenda, what is happening in the room. And I think that is maybe one of the main challenges, because we want to have success, and we have some images in our head. What is success? Success is the one who takes the lead. Success is the one who make the good statements or have the brightest idea for what cause it ever must be.
What is success for you?
But success, it is being present and be committed.
Yeah.
Because then you start to grow. I have been in very many situations where I was not the cleverest. I have maybe the ugliest clothes. I had the most rare ideas. But I shared the interest of the course when we were there. Yeah. And when you accept not to be the best, but you feel that you are in the right place, because of course if you're not in the right place, then you should not be there. But if you feel, okay, I am here in this place because either my heart, my brain, or my hands feel that there are something in common between these people and me, then I am becoming a part of that community. And that means that we are allowed to shine. That's a very common phrase, okay, you can shine, you can shine. But I have another way of seeing it, because when I am doing this role play, of course, I'm the one who has invented it and I'll give some respect, but I always try to say it is not my project. Maybe it was my idea, but I have many volunteers and they are being together with me. So instead of saying, okay, you should do this, you should do this, I try to have the mirror idea. I say, if I am a mirror and you look in me, what do you see? It's not the same as being a role model. No, I want to have a mirror and hold it off your face so you can see yourself. And then I ask, okay, look at yourself. What can you contribute with? It is all right for me that you contribute just being present and sometimes being brave. Because the rate you ask me, what is success? The success is that I'm getting a little bit more brave for each time. So I feel a line of a kind of, I think I am involving, but not from 1 to 1,000 for 2 days, no. But I always feel that I am moving forward. Yeah. And sometimes there's something where you really can do something. Let's say you have a head and you are good at making a computer, and then they want to have some advertising on Facebook. And oh, Facebook, that was just you. And then you had your resource that you could put into the community. But maybe at the first meeting or the second meeting, the Facebook issue wasn't a part of their agenda. Oh. But you still felt, oh, they have a common cause. I have some common feelings. I'm sharing something together. And then it is legal for me just to be present.
Yeah, because we try always to do something. And we want to take big steps so we can see the difference.
Yes.
And you are telling me that small steps, that we can evolve by small steps and they could accumulate and become the big step.
Yes. Yeah. Because when you have a journey, I think when you have a journey, you always see what is the end of the journey. Yeah. So if you ask me back in my very young days, was my journey that this very little idea should be a worldwide success, and it has also been named as the biggest game all over in the whole world as a teaching material. No, I didn't know, because it was not important for me. Because if the goal was so high, and then it also become unreachable. So it means that you cannot reach it because you're always making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So it will expand in your head, and then it will squeeze all your initiative, because you really want to fulfill the big dream, and then what is left for action. Because dreams, they are not actions. They're just dreams, but actions, they often tend to be very small. So you get stuck in your own head, in your own ambitions. So small steps of ambitions, it's much better than a big goal. I know I disagree with many of those very high-profiled CIOs from a big company who say, make a dream, go for it, and invest yourself. Yes, yes, invest yourself, but you must always measure on yourself. I can only invest what I feel comfortable about. And you asked me before, we have maybe some young people in our generation that today, and it not only today, it was the same when I was young. I didn't know what to do. I was confused about my choice of education. I have several girlfriends. Which one should I choose? So life is uncertainness. But what I think maybe today is more challenging is that we are not allowing ourselves to failures. Yeah. And maybe it's because if we have the idea of this big dream, then it must not be a failure going towards this dream. I think it should be looked upon in another way. We're talking about these small steps. And yes, of course, you can have some small ideas, small steps of success that you want to go out. But if the path is already very long because you see this target in the horizon, then you feel as a deviation. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. But who knows, is there always a straight way towards the dream? No, because my dream was just to make differences in the moment. And then one day there came a prize. One day I need to take some new education because I felt stuck. But that wasn't the goal from the beginning. The goal was this little, I can do something which is very little, but important, because I felt when I come home, I actually did something. So I see there's a difference between dreaming, but not maybe doing, and instead of saying be realistic and make it happen.
Some action is better than just dreaming.
Yes. Yeah. And don't be critical upon yourself. What do you define as a success? Like I was telling before, I say, okay, the big success will be I will be the board leader of this community, or I will do the main action for this organization. No, presence is a success. And communities which really have growth is those who can give space to each other. And I think we are not so good to giving space to each other today. We are maybe sometimes saying, okay, are we in a competition here? Is he maybe trying to backstab me? Or there are some things in the television, on my Facebook. I'm not used to connecting without limitations. Yeah. And connecting without limitation, I have another word for it. It's called humanity. Connecting without limitations is humanity. It doesn't mean that I should accept you on all parameters that you are, but I must accept the fact that you are human. Yeah. And that we have something in common, that you and I, if we sit down and have a good chat, just like you and I, we will find the points of interests. And if I really should give advice, it is to let your heart seek for those things that are interesting. Because now I could look at you, I could say, okay, you brought your jacket, I have this shitty shirt on, you have nice shoes, I do have nice shoes, you have a big watch, I don't have a watch. So we are scanning each other. Instead I can ask this simple question, okay, what do you feel happy about? And when you then replies me, I can tell you what I feel happy about, and okay, maybe there was something that in here made us both happy, and then we have an idea for our next step to have a happy time together.
You are not making the car run faster by polishing the blocks.
No, that's a good way of saying it. Yes, and humanity is under pressure today. Yeah. Yes, because we have many social media, we have many tellings about what it is to be human. And we have many good stories about what is making our world very inhuman. Like we have many wars, we have terror, we have many things that we are getting afraid of. So maybe some have lost the belief in real humanity.
Yeah, because when I studied a bit about it, and also looked before in time in history, it has always, there was always created this feeling about the world is going to end, the world is going to end. And when I looked up, I thought it was just now, when I looked back in time, it's the same. There was always this feeling about the world is going to end.
Yes.
And we're still here.
Yes. Yes, now we have the climate awareness, now we have, again, the new refugee agenda, we have the borders of Europe. We feel always that doomsday is very close to us. And when we do that, what is happening in ourselves? We want to save our own souls. Yeah. Like when we're saving our own soul, maybe that is also some explanation why we maybe sometimes tend to be a little bit more selfish than we really should be. You know, when did you ask yourself, okay, I will now do something which is not selfish for me, not for my family, not for the friends, but for somebody I don't know. Yeah. Well, Yes, you can give some money for a donation for some organization, but money, that is not your hands, or not your mind and not your heart. It is something that you can externalize from yourself. I feel happy. I have been doing something now. I just give something which maybe could relieve myself my bad consciousness.
But to join in and being a part of a family.
Yes.
And feel that you are doing something. It's very different.
And who is your family? Is humans your family?
Yeah.
Per definition it is.
It is, yeah.
Yes, but per definitions we really tend to find out that we want to talk about superior species and not superior species. We want to find tendencies in cultures and so on. So that is what I call we have lost the faith into humanity. But of course, not all of us. There are many great people in the big world, but there are some mechanisms.
Yeah.
Because you have to be very strong to be the first mover in an area. And I think I'm just a normal guy from a normal citizen, and I was a normal citizen. I was nothing special. But what formed my life was that maybe I sometimes said, "Okay, what the heck? What the heck? Maybe something can happen. It's very bad if I go into this project. Maybe I'll be the clown. Maybe there's some risk that they will laugh at me. But yes, what's the big deal about that?" So taking this little risk, this little risk could also be an opportunity, because the risk is always, yes, I learned, maybe it didn't work. I have many learnings. Okay, no, that it didn't work. But also I was maybe brave enough to take some of the risk that really say, what is the worst thing that could happen? And when it's not about life and death, but just about somebody laughing at you or your idea wasn't heard, then, well, you tried. You did something. Yeah. You really make an experience towards making a change.
Because if there were no humans out there around us,
yes,
would you be self-conscious about making mistakes?
Yes, because if what defines humanity that is one thing that we have. We share something in common, but we also want to achieve something in common. We also will work for prosperity in common. That we have a road in common, saying making the world better. I think there is many ways that you can see how to make the world better. But as a species, we have always tried to, in our history evolution, try to go further on. And the way that you move further on is doing something together. So the course of action is not that you should have a target that is very beyond your own way that you are capable of doing right now, but it should be something that gives you a little understanding, saying, okay, I actually did something. And I ask you the question, when have you really not, when have you really been doing something that is not from benefit for yourself? And if it goes to the hand, the heart, and also the head, well, I think that many of us would answer, oh, that's a long time ago. But we, of course, in Denmark have this strong tradition of voluntary work. And we are actually seeing that voluntary work today in some areas are threatened. There are not so many voluntary workers because maybe we have make a turn, so we will do more for ourselves because we feel it gives us a better feeling than give something to others. We have in many sport organizations, okay, who will do the handball training for the little girls 3 to 6 years? Nobody wants to. Or the parents, will you join in for the school board? Okay, some does, but when it's just in the class board, everybody is sitting here, no, it's not me. So why are we looking inwards instead of looking outwards? I think when you looking inwards, it becomes because you need to comfort yourself, taking care of yourself, because you are afraid not deeply afraid, but you are some way anxious about, can I exist tomorrow? And that's the same thing when you're saying, is there doomsday tomorrow? We are met by this story about doomsday, and instead of telling about this wonderful future we can make. So it's two different roads that you can walk. You can walk in the race and say, okay, future is really a disaster. I really need to take care of myself, or the future is a wonderful place because I and all the others will make differences.
Fear, anxiety,
yes,
or building a future for building it today by doing some action today. This is the idea. I think it is lovely, actually. We have an organization where I work with a few with kids, and it's going really great to see everybody is actually here to help, and also to just be.
Yes,
it's really nice.
And somebody asked me one day, why have you been in Red Cross for so many years? And I think that is because Red Cross as an organization is one who brings hope. For me, it is a good organization because it brings hope to people. It brings hope in disasters, but also in these projects they have with minor children, they have with refugees, they have with homeless people. But bringing hope, I think that is a good feeling when you close your eyes and you go fall asleep. Say, okay, I have made a little contribution for bringing hope. Not being selfish, but bringing hope for somebody else. And if we were talking about stepstones in the future, I think that was why I was hooked up very early in my, when I was about 24, a really commitment to this work was because I felt that I brought hope. Not hope that would give me a success, but as a gift with no returns. And that is also, you always expect something. If I give you something, often I expect something in return. It could be a favor. Oh, I give you a dinner, I want you to give me a dinner. So this way of giving and receiving, it's a part of our culture. But giving without expecting something to come back, but just in the belief that it changes. That is also a way that even you maybe feel, okay, what can I contribute with? Okay, he is talking about going into an organization that is really weird for me right now to do all these many steps. But then ask yourself, what can I do for somebody else which give me the feeling that I brought a little bit hope? It would be like posting a nice, warm comment on Facebook instead of a not so warm and maybe another comment. It could be to like somebody have made a real nice YouTube video of their own cat. And even though you hate cat and you hate cat videos, you can just promote from your inner heart that, okay, nice video, have a good day, enjoy the future.
This will make him happy, or this will make her happy.
And then you can really sit by yourself and contribute to a way of spreading a more positive attitude towards things, because it will then somehow return to you in your heart. You may be feeling a little bit more joyful. And you were talking about these social media. Why are there something very tough when we write comments? Or why do we really want to post pictures all the time of many things, silly things? Because we want to express our own ego. And by expressing our own ego, it defines us as those we are. So the more you're expressing your ego, the more you feel comfortable about being a really good person. But that is what I have against maybe this way of using our digital medias. Not that we are using for building communities alone, but also a place that we can make our own identity very visible for somebody else. And we are trapped, and young people are trapped because they didn't know what was before. I know I'm the old school master, so yes, I was in the area of inventing the computers, and I did the ICT stuff here for these years because I was worried. I was worried about what is happening. Why are we learning some very bad habits by technology instead of learning all the good habits. And I think that is because the evolution of technology have been so fast that those who are born in it really haven't got the chance to have some proper discussions with their parents because they don't know nothing about technology. So these discussions where we are discussing ethics, where we are discussing how to behave, how to communicate, all these kind of things we have to find out ourselves. Yeah. And when you are finding out yourselves, there's only one thing that controls you, and that's your ego. To try to scan Facebook, try to scan Instagram, try to scan Twitter, all things about related to ourselves. Make another trend. Make something that is related to others. Crowdfunding is a very good way of having hands. It is like, okay, I can give something for those who have a good idea. And from maybe for the last 5 years, crowdfunding has really made some very big inventions. Yeah. Actually, some free African students have made a motor which goes on urine. So they can actually pee.
From ammoniac?
Yes, yeah. And they can, if you collected all the pee and put it into this kind of motor they have invented, they could generate electricity for the whole village.
That's one clever idea.
one bright, clever idea. And there are many ideas out there, and then you can contribute to this project, and maybe you can share the link. There's many ways that you can communicate all the positive stories instead of promoting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. The only way of being a self is to give yourself.
Yes. Yeah, that was a very good conclusion. Yes, but it sounds so easy and it is so hard.
It is. It is because we are really anxious about what others will say about us.
Yes.
And they will not say anything. Just do it. Just do some actions.
Yes.
It could be, like you said, a small comment. I wasn't thinking about it, but it's a good idea. A small comment or a like on Facebook just to make another person feel seen.
I would not prefer the like because the like is an invisible thing, but I will a little comment.
Yes.
And if you don't read or write so good in the language you can comment it, then use Google Translate. It doesn't matter. Like we have been talking, I have noticed I made many mistakes in English, but well, I make some mistakes, but that doesn't make me a person with no identity. It's just okay, I can improve. I really want to, but instead of looking for my failures, I feel the joy of sitting here and communicating. So I think that the limitation we give ourselves is also bounded in the way that we wanted acceptance. So if you, just like you said before, I want to feel accepted, and I think the only way I feel accepted is like being perfect. I want to blend in, I want to be a part of. But maybe if you are new in a country, or maybe you have some strange idea, you have one political observation, you have a sexual tendency that is maybe not the major part of the country, well, you cannot change it all. But there's still glimpses of yourself that can be just like the others. So if I should say something, okay, I maybe disagree very much to your political attitude. I really could make a big discussion, and every time I see you, I would really try to establish my own self-esteem by telling you a lot of things that I dislike. Yeah. So we made a border between us. Instead of saying, okay, there are some part of you that I maybe don't agree with. Yeah. But wow, I really like that you are also into reading books. That is now I want to give you this title of this very good book I read. And then I would have a return and say, oh yes, I know this book. Yeah. And then there are places where we should of course be in opposite to, if we have a political discussion, then of course we should discuss, but we should also have these breaks where we are finding together. And I think that is like a rubber band. A rubber band can be stretched, it can be loosened, and this way, we are always in a dynamic movement. Yeah. But if we really are afraid of doing nothing, just like that, or we really have to be apart, then there is no rubber band. Then it slaps both our hands, and we remember the pain, and we don't want to do it again. So many young people remember all those, what we call, let's scale battles they have lost. Yeah. And that had given them experience, and okay, I tried it once, I tried it twice, I give up. I don't give a care. Well, why? Why not saying, okay, that was a failure, I can try again, I can try in another way, I can still try, because every time I try, I am an active part of making a change.
Yeah, because it is not going to be better just by trying it once. No. It's not. If you succeed, that this is one hell of something that you should really be proud of. Failing is actually just training, practicing.
Yes. And if you look upon literature today and all big companies, what their strategies is, now you can read everywhere, children must learn to fail. In this company, we will have a success rate of making fails 10%. So we're talking about this failure, but it's not something new, but it's maybe a reminder to ourselves that we are now gone this far in our evolution that we are not allowing ourselves to make failures. And those who are young today, who are being met by the school system, which really requires you to be perfect, or you must have an education, you must do everything right, and you had their expectations for you, they certainly now are met by, okay, it's all right to make mistakes, but it's only now for very few months or maybe 1 year of their whole life. So can you make a change from one day to another when you have been raised up in one tradition? No, you cannot. So they are just words, but they are not actions you can do yourself. So what they are saying and what you can do is, there are often a big span between this.
Because the expectations of you succeed and getting through the education system is still there, is not?
Yes.
If you want a better life.
Yes, and your parents expect from you, and
society
expects for you, and the tax system wants you to earn money so they can really have
and all the other friends and family,
all your other friends
and Facebook.
Yes.
But people looks at these pictures and these videos on the internet, and they see only the success of it. They don't. No one is sharing all the crying and suffering, and they share only this glimpse of that.
Yes. And that is maybe the tendencies of our time, that we are afraid, of course, not to share our failures. But also we don't recognize failure, the learning part of it.
As part of success.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's interesting. Okay, I will learn mostly from my failures and not from my successes. And just like the road I was talking about, there are two ways we can create the future. We can make the future build upon all the stories about what can happen, or we can make the stories about, okay, we will make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that the more thing, if I should reflect upon all my time in Red Cross, I'm really proud of being together with young people. And they have run this project for themselves for many, many years. So I have moved away from the project. I'm supervising, I have some strategic things, but it is really that I have been working with youth projects. And to give youth their own voice, to giving youth their own way to make the future, giving youth their own way to discuss and find solutions, you're really humble, because that is also challenging me as a teacher. I'm not the one who should learn them about life, and I'm not the one who should learn them about democracy. I can make an arena where they can fight, or where they can battle, or where they can be friends, and I will of course supervise that. If the arena or the play or the game itself is not so comfortable, I will of course invent, but they are really, really good. So I have very much hope for the future, because I have so many times experienced that there were crises, we had conflicts, but we were together in this community, in this room, and we really was together about making a change or making a project. And when we remained our core idea, then we were obliged to find solutions. Yeah. So my project has been going just like every project, ups and downs, successes and failures and so on. But the main idea is that we really have been communicating cross-cultural, cross-intellectual, cross-social, cross everything that you can cross. Because in this mixture, or this, we call it melting pot. Yeah. And then we are one piece of this very, very long chain that ties a project together. And understand that you can be just a little tiny bit of a big, big chain and feel not, okay, I will flash the whole chain, it's me, Facebook, like, instead. No, I was there. I really made a part of this. Then I could identify myself. And then you have an identity and not something that you pretend to be. So identity instead of pretend to be. Try to scan yourself how many actions you do during one day that is what you pretend to be instead of what you actually have identity.
It's like an avatar out there in the internet, or an image, a persona, a mask, and just and inside you feel maybe horrible, or you feel that you are cheating the person inside, in front of you, and it becomes a crisis.
Yes,
it becomes a crisis because you're not yourself, and if you're not yourself, you betray the self that you are, and you will be miserable your whole life.
Yes. But it also being young, I can remember when I was young and from literature, you know that when you're young, you're seeking for your identity. Yeah. And of course you are flashing one kind of identity and tomorrow you go to another identity, because that's a part of maybe making yourself as a whole, or finding yourself and forming it as a whole person. But you can always ask yourself what it is that brings bricks to the final house of identity you are in the future. And these bricks, some of them are just like clay. Yeah, it feels solid for a while. When it starts to rain, you feel sorry. It flushes away. Yeah. But one little solid brick who really was well cared and put it in the oven and repeated for many times, it gets a solid. So there are many ones that have big ideas of my future, and maybe it should only be reasonable to think, okay, what did I achieve this half year? Yeah, I did my homework, not every day, maybe 70% of the time, but I decided to do it, and when I did it, it was all right. And then I had fun the other 30%. Instead of saying, I will always be the one who always make my homework. I want to be the one with the highest grade. I will never accept the failure. And then the teacher one day says, oh no, I'm sorry, you will have an average score for this. Oh, test, no. Oh, and I start crying, and understand the tears is a weeping symbol of that all you have built us flushes away. Yeah. So there are many good images in your head about what kind of bricks you really need in your future house as an identity of you. So go for small things that are easy for you to hand, and it will, in a long, long term, believe me, I'm an old man, it will, of course, give some solid foundation for you.
So take the responsibility that you can handle. And yes, do the things that
and be happy for it.
Yeah. Because we don't celebrate that much.
No.
I don't celebrate that much. I work hard what I'm doing.
Yes.
Because I feel the need to make something great,
yes.
something big. And I feel what you're talking about.
But I think that everyone wants to do something great. There's nothing bad about want to do something great. And here I'm talking about small chances, and we all agree upon we have been doing something great. Or when we look back on our life, we will look upon all the successes. But what I try to say in this talk, it is that if I look upon what have made me the one I've been today, is that I maybe kept the small stones. And yes, sometimes the small stones gave a pattern that could in moments be looked upon as something big. But I maybe tried not to make too many illusions of identity. So illusions, okay, yes, I could have been like this, or I could go for this career, or I could be writing this paper or an article, or maybe I should write 10 books because all the big in Denmark, they write 15 books. So instead of confusing me and confusing my dreams, I think that it is also all right to be happy about some things that seem small, but in a big purpose is better for you. And you always know what's better for you, because this little feeling when you really, wow, that really worked well. Yeah. Those you should keep in mind. And I was at a conference yesterday, and in this lunch break we sat down in Göteborg and Gothenburg, as it's called in English, and we were sitting and looking about the pavement. Then there was a truck, and it dropped some plastic bags. And the plastic bags were out on the pavement, the wind came, and all the plastic bags went, and all the people went by. They didn't do anything. But then two people came from opposite directions, and on the way they were crossing the pavement, they just took those plastic bags, put it in a litter box, and then went on. But 5,000, not maybe 5,000, but strategically, you could say that many big, maybe 1,000 passed the bags without touching them. So that was a little action saying, okay, I put up a plastic bag in the little box. It seems like nothing you will be famous about, but you make a small change. A little small change that you put on, wow.
It is the attitude of, it is not my job.
Yes.
It is the attitude that I didn't do that.
No.
It is the attitude that not taking responsibility for that this is your home. This is Earth. Yes. Is your home. Mm-hmm. It is the attitude of narrowed mindset that only thinks about my home is the walls I live in, and that's it.
Yes.
Instead of seeing the big picture, which is everywhere is your home.
Yes. My occupation is to be a citizen walking on the pavement. I'm not the cleaning. I'm not responsible of the cleaning of the pavement, so I can just leave it. And you know, it is sometimes when I use this picture that I just told you about, these little, it is like if you look on life, you can be at so many opportunities that you will say, okay, I really don't want to pick this opportunity because it doesn't seem something that I should do. It's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility, but yes, because sometimes when you reach out for something that is non-expected or something that is really small, you can very easily and very quickly have an immediate success. And these, we call them small successes. Yeah. And those small successes is also the bricks that I mentioned in the house. And try to say, okay, how many small successes did I do today? Like the Facebook comment we was talking about yesterday. Okay, today I feel in a good mood. I start to spread some good vibrations on all my net and maybe to somebody I don't know. And then I have this feeling like putting this plastic bag in the litter box. Well, I did something useful for somebody who wasn't me, but was somebody else. Yeah. That is humanity.
Yeah. Yes, amazing. To take part of the home we live in, especially with this fight against plastic and the environmental war on everything right now, actually.
Yes, but
everything is a Me Too campaign. Everything is a demonstration. Yeah. I usually ask questions like, if I was a genie, what would you ask for? So I'll ask you that too. I usually ask actually, if I was a genie, what would you ask for? And I will ask you that too.
Yes, if you were a genie, I would ask you for give me some magic bottles. And in these magic bottles, there should be a special kind of fluid. this kind of fluid you could spread out, and it should give some kind of smells.
Yeah.
And this smells should bring some initiative to you. A smell of saying, okay, there's a world outside myself.
To be aware.
Yes.
That there is actually more than this.
Yes. And you know, smell, that is one of the senses that we never lose. And if you lose the smell of, you lose the smell or the taste, it means that really your brain is not functioning very well. So this senses of the smell, if you can remember how it was at your grandmother's house, you can have the smell of a sunny day where you had some good experience. And so as a genie, this smell of saying there's a world outside, go out and get it. And then this smell, this remembering, yes, there once was a time where we maybe were more bound to each other, where we were a small community which existed, really relied upon that everyone we contributed. Now when we are in this individualistic world, there's no smell, there's nothing that reminds me of each other. It is just like there is nothing. So then with this magic genie fluid that you spread out and this smell that maybe goes around the whole world or just goes around Horse and so which city you are in, then you get attracted to it. And I think that the beauty when you be attracted to somebody else which is not you, both in love but also in community, both in your country or just in the world, that you feel, okay, we are really in common for a good cause. Let's find the best version of ourselves. Let's contribute in the way we can contribute, some with big amounts of action, some with a little amount of heart, and some with a very big brain. But when we work together and we have this mutual existence, I think that is when the world is changing. So Genie, please make this liquid. And when you spread it, I'll smell it and I'll be there.
I will try my best.
Yes, I think you should do that.
Yeah. Any last word for him or her out there that feels alone, that they feel that they have difficulties to find themselves, especially in the fast-going world that we live in right now?
Yes. I think that is a very good question. And I can really, in a way, feel empathy. Because losing yourself or being not comfortable with your own version of yourself, it is a horrible feeling, because you are trapped in a dual play. On one hand, you really want to make some big efforts to make changes, and the other hand, you feel paralyzed. Yeah. So you are stuck within yourself. So being stuck within yourself is it's a process where it eats you a little bit by bit, and then at a certain level you feel like nothing, and that feeling is of course it's a very, very rare feeling, and it also gives you maybe the ability to say, okay, let's just give me up. It's all right to quit it. There's no reason for fighting, and this kind of way you must try to say, okay, if we should learn something from what we have been discussing about being stuck, it is because maybe you should look upon the patterns which you expect yourself to move. So let's see, if you go to a school and you really feel that all the other ones are clever than you, then your expectation is, okay, the only way I can move myself is to be better in math and language. Yes, that is because you are comparing your understanding of the environment with the understanding of maybe what is needed. But let's say that you really are not good in math, you are really not good in language, and you are not really good in art, but you are a very, very good friend. You are consider yourself as a very, very good friend. Then saying, okay, maybe the school is the arena where I should learn to be a good pupil, I should have some good grades, but I can contribute with being a good friend. And then suddenly this very high focused goal that is saying, okay, I don't feel of anything because I am maybe not able to fulfill all the requests. Then if you make the new focusing, I'm a good friend. I could maybe arrange that we should have an afternoon get together, or maybe next time we are making some group work, I will send the one to say, okay, I will do, I will write it on PC, or I will make the PowerPoint look very nice. So I can contribute with something realistic. Yeah. Because if you feel that you in advance have unrealistic goals, then of course you are not so happy about yourself. But it's because it is a mindset. You are making images of something you cannot. It's like the big image we have been talking about many times. It squeezes your ability to act, because it's dreams, it's wishes, it's the commands, it's the things that make you passive. But if you make your own small goals, and it could also say, okay, today I want to take a nice dress on, and I want to be a polite person. And I know all the teachers expect me to really be good at those and those parameters, but I still have my own idea how to do something that I can really achieve easy. Then I made the first little step. And that little step was a success. So I go home maybe knowing, okay, I'm going to school, and my idea of having a success was maybe not so big, but it was still a success. Then I can make a little bit wider goal for the next time. Okay, I will have nice dress. I want to be maybe a good friend, but I also want to do something else. And then you are building up your own path to what you think the school should be about. Yeah. So when you're talking about this feeling stuck, you must ask yourself, what is it that stucks me? Yeah. And you will often discover that those things that stuck you are very big and complicated. Yeah. And you must take back the control of those big things and say, yes, maybe one day we can be there. But what can I do tomorrow?
Yeah. I tried to analyze it. I saw a picture actually when I was 17, 18, living alone actually, and came to the kitchen and I look, gosh, where should I begin?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I didn't do dishes for a week and wash dishes for a week, and I was like, I'm not gonna get through that. No. I'll just leave it for 1 week more, and I feel horrible about that because this is disgusting. And so I tried to arrange a plan in my mind where to start, and take small pieces. Yes. And actually, 1-2 hours, I was finished. Yeah, it was okay. That's it. Yes. So make a plan for just to chop it in small pieces instead of seeing it in the big.
And if you should, I really love this picture. That's a very good picture because it's very understandable. Let's say that the kitchen is the world outside. Yeah. So complicated, so filled with many things that should be done, should be arranged, should be fixed, and here are you starting, and you're moving to this kitchen. No, it really explains, and it's also about, when I talk about the hand and the heart, but also about the brain, that you sometimes must understand what have brought you into the situation that you are in now. It's not because you are wrong, but it's because you maybe are not reflecting upon what is really the cause. Yeah. And here you are telling me about this kitchen. It was so big, you couldn't really find A, B, C, D, you couldn't find a path in it. So you lost control, and you say, okay, make a schedule to gain control. Yeah. And that is a good question to ask yourself. How can I gain control over a complicated, but not as the goal to solve the complicated, but to start a way to start to solve some of this, which is complicated. And then you found out, when I started this process, certainly I didn't realize that actually it came by itself.
And actually I have one more with the same metaphor. It is actually that I try to solve every task when it appears. If it is only one dish, solve it, then it's not a problem.
Yes.
But if you leave them, it becomes a problem.
Yes.
And the problem just stack up. So I try to solve every problem when it occurs, every task when it occurs. Then there's no problem actually.
No. But it is also good for you to say that that is your strategy. But there can be young people who already have so many dishes, have so many things that they must try to fix because they can fix something else, that you have maybe reached here through your journey that you have had a habit where you say, okay, it occurs, I'll try to fix it. Yeah. So you, like you said, yes, you're working on a project, but if we go back to those who really struggle just to finding the first dish to start with, they must understand and say, okay, how can I pick the first dish? How can I be happy saying to myself, I made this first dish of this very complicated kitchen that I should clean, but I will still honor myself and say, wow, well done. One dish. Yeah. You didn't broke it. You fixed it.
Precisely.
And tomorrow, maybe 2 dishes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it didn't just came by this was training every day to train myself to fix the task when they appear. And it is an ongoing problem.
And that is the line back to what we have been discussing about making these small successes that you can really handle, but also the thing about when you are doing something, you are achieving something. And maybe if it should give an advice, it's about when we're talking about, okay, I had this crazy attitude, I just did something without being afraid of the consequences. Yeah, don't do it everybody, but sometimes it works. Then it really is also that we should encourage each other to move forward. And sometimes we are feeling a little bit pity about ourselves. Yeah. Yes. And we give the blame to the world, to the mother, to the school, to the society, to everything. But we have a saying in that only those who work learns. Precisely. So, yes, it is hard. Yes, it will feel painful sometimes. Yes, sometimes you're really stuck. But if you keep working, you also feel alive. And you will sleep good at the end of the day.
Yeah. It is actually. It is. I feel happy when things are done. And I look, yes, I did it. Now I can sleep. Yeah. At peace. And actually the one thing more is actually that everybody is going to go through hell sometimes. Yeah. Everybody is going to go through joy and suffering and feeling sad, feeling alone. This is normal, and people try to avoid all that. Yes. It is part of life to go.
Why do you think they try to avoid it?
It doesn't feel good, so we try to avoid it.
No, because you can handle it. Things you can handle, you avoid.
Precisely.
And those non-successful things that is non-handleable, they are somehow recognized as something that we should not train. We will only train these things that give us successes. That is why TV and television have many good reality programs about people not handling anything or struggling, because when you see it, you think, okay, now I see it on television, then I feel I can master all the struggle. And oh, I see all the conflicts, it's X on the beach, my love life should be like that. I go to the island, okay, I can survive at any time. See, they are working with the same issues, but seeing it in the television, it gives you a relief. But when you are in the situation yourself, you haven't learned nothing because you are not an active part. And that's just like my role play. You learn if you're an active part, just like your advice, okay, try to do it. Don't expect the success, but just the success saying, yes, I am actually trying. Trying is good. Yes, trying is tremendous.
Trying is getting closer.
Yes.
And it is always, even if the road seems, you are still getting closer to, yes. And because TV is passive learning. Yeah. You are sitting there and the play is out there. And you stop your brain and it continues over there. The show is there. Yeah. So it differs from reading. Reading is active. Yeah.
You're externalizing your life saying, okay, I can learn by not taking part of it. It is not so complicated. I can maybe wipe a little tear if my contestant, he was thrown out of the Big Brother house or something.
But the thing we forget is that this guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, and all the others, is actually at work.
Yes.
He's earning money by you sitting here and watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it feels easy, it feels good, and that, of course, that is why we have so many reality shows, because look at the word reality shows, married at first sight. Yes, we really want to understand that, wow, we are feeling that is reality. No, it's not. It's just an illusion of our best intentions. And that is what is making the gap between you and I. It is that we are measuring our life success by something that other has invented as a story of the perfect life.
So to re-examine what is success for oneself is important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also to be brave not to accept everything that you see as the key to your own success.
Yeah, because that is a problem. We compare ourselves a lot, and we want what others are good at. And one last thing, actually, I read is when you experience yourself lazy or don't want to do that thing, ask yourself why. Because maybe you don't like the thing that you're. To see where are you lazy is good to understand yourself.
You have some mechanisms to avoid. You have some mechanisms built in yourself which avoids you from the conflict that is very, very hard for you. So we have some strategies to say, oh no, I don't think it is important. Oh, I don't feel really that today I can have the energy to do it. And just like you say, these mechanisms are some way self-protective, but this self-protectiveness keeps you in the idea of yourself. So if the idea of yourself is, oh, I really want to change my life, but not today, I feel a little bit lazy.
Yeah, because
then you have the conflict of saying, okay, why is this feeling laziness? Why does it come to me right now? Yeah, it comes because I know it is going to be painful, and I know that I will avoid pain. So I will not start a journey without knowing that it will be a success. So yes, there are some journeys that are really painful.
And it is the price.
Yeah, and that is the price. Yeah. So you really feel stuck. Yes, I really want to change my life, but I don't want to go on a journey that could give me some ups and downs. Yes, but that's the way of a journey. It's like walking across a country. There are ups and downs. Not in Denmark, it's very flat, but, but in a wide perspective, yes.
Yeah. Last words?
Yeah, I think that we have been talking a lot about changes, and it's interesting for me sitting here as a mid-aged man and looking back to what have made me what I became, looking about all my failures, and maybe trying to give advices or just have some discussions about those who, from you can on your shows, who have the same ages as my sons and daughters. Yeah. And they are making their own identity, they don't need me. And maybe it is a good thing to say that sometimes the best guidance for your own life is yourself. Yeah. I think we are very good as parents, as society, we want to control everything. And that image is also helped by social medias, by all the economic structures, by all the things you can buy. But finding into your core of yourself, know yourself, and be satisfied with what you find. That is the advice that I would give, because I believe in it. And that's what's defined the you of you and not the other.
The other you.
Yes.
Of the others.
Yes. Yes, very good conclusion.
Steen, it has been an honor to have you here.
It's been an honor to talk with you. It's very nice to have a good discussions and also reflections. I'm also sitting here and, oh yes, I can say that, but also like just to sit and talk. And well, we maybe didn't know each other for 2 years ago, but I'm feeling by this conversation we have many things we could keep on talking with. And that's is also a good symbol of saying, okay, communication and mutual interest in something that is common for our all life. That is a good way just to start to meet people.
It is.
And maybe make friends.
Yeah.
And have a nice and interesting day when I go home and think, yes, I've been in an interview.
Yeah. And I did something.
Yeah, I did something.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a good day. Something was nonsense, something was very sharp, and something was in perfect English, something I really could elaborate, but I was present.
Yeah, this is the most important.
Yes.
Yeah. I thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steen. Thank you.
And keep on the good work.
I will do that.